About a week ago, I bought a couple of RTX 3070s, and just let me tell you straight up, I'm feeling kind of insecure now that the RTX 3060 Ti is here. This thing is pretty much a cut down version of an RTX 3070, except you're going to be saving $100 US, or in Australia, you're going to be saving nearly 200 Aussie dollars. So it's coming in at 399 USD, and then in Australia it's coming in at 688 Aussie dollars. However, you're probably curious to see how it performs. Let's roll those gaming benchmarks and then get back to what has unfolded here in today's review. So there's the gaming benchmarks all done, and what we can see here is that this little guy right here packs a massive punch, especially for the money. And the closer we get to, say, a $200 graphics card being released, the happier I am. I think as we drop those price points down, where I feel like the lower that we go down in price, the more we're not just giving people value, we're also sort of making cards more realistic towards lower resolutions like 1080p and 1440p especially, where I feel like the 3060 Ti really does well at 1440p and both 1080p. And a few things that it does also do really well is that the power consumption numbers are lower than any of the 3000 series cards. And in fact, it's the best performance per watt card that Nvidia has out at the moment. It's also further amplified if you want to get better power efficiency by the fact that you can undervolt this card. Now, when I was undervolting it, I did drop the power consumption roughly down by about 50 to 60 watts, depending on the benchmark, and it did respond pretty well. Now, the 3070, 3080, and 3090 did respond a little bit better in terms of undervolting, but that's because they're bigger cards and they have bigger power consumption from the get-go. Another thing too, if you want to overclock, I'm gonna say that this is one of the first cards out in 2020 where you may wish to overclock, where we only juiced another 15 watts roughly, but we were getting now performance that was coming close to that of the RTX 3070 out of the box. And the funny thing here is that it was beating the 2080 Super comfortably. So you heard the rumors before this thing was released that it was going to beat out a 2080 Super, and it did so comfortably in the benchmarks that we tested here today. Now, we did test out the different resolutions, 1080p, 1440p, and also 4K. And I feel like this card right here is coming in either as a 1080p or a 1440p champion, with its 8GB of VRAM being that of the same as the 3070. However, they have cut down the CUDA cores and also some ray tracing performance versus the 3070. Though the biggest win is that you're still getting a really high quality cooler weighing in at over 1 kilogram, and the measurements are coming in very similar to 3070, where it will be fantastic for someone who wants to use this in a mini ITX rig, especially considering it's got lower power consumption than that of the 3070 too. Though speaking of the cooler, we're going to look at the temps and noise and the fan speeds right now, where it ramps up to roughly 52% out of the box, scoring about 38 decibels of noise, and that came in at 75 degrees C. However, this was tested in 29 degrees C ambient temperatures, which is quite hot where I am at the moment, so delta adjusting them to my usual temperatures, we can see here that this cooler is performing very well. Stepping things up to 60% manual showed that you would either want to leave this at 60% constant or at the auto fan speeds for the best noise and temperatures. Going up to 80 and 100% did score lower temperatures, but did increase the noise significantly. Going over the rear of the card, you've got HDMI 2.1 as well as 3 DisplayPort outs, and the 2 axial fans are measuring in at 85mm each, and that is encased around with a metal frame with a shiny silver S-like design on the front, and then 3060 Ti writing on the back with GeForce RTX printed on the side and requiring that 12-pin connector. However, Nvidia do include this in the box. It's a 12-pin to 8-pin converter. And with all those details out of the way, it's finally time to talk about who this graphics card is for right here. Now, for me personally, the closer we get down to $200, the more happier I get with graphics cards, because not only are we alleviating a problem of all those older cards just really not being a good buy anymore, but we're also being more relevant to, I guess, a lot more people, where I feel like the 3080 and a lot of the higher end cards coming out are really more catered towards 4K gaming. Whereas opposed to this card right here with that $399 price point, it's really targeting those people who want to play high refresh rate 1080p, 1440p, and maybe don't mind turning the settings from epic to high, or even going to low for competitive games and still getting really high FPS. This card is certainly going to do it. Now, ray tracing, you will get a decent experience if you want to turn on DLSS 2.0 in games and drop the resolution down to 1080p. However, stepping it up to 1440p or 4K, the ray tracing will drop significantly in terms of the performance, but it still is enjoyable at 1080p. That's what I was finding when I was turning on ray tracing in Fortnite with DLSS 2.0 on, for example. The ultimatum with the 3060 Ti, in my opinion, is it's kind of making the 3070 in a tough spot right now, where I'd personally be going for one of these over the 3070, or I'd be going for the 3080. So it looks like the even numbers in the Nvidia stack this time around are the cards that I would go for personally. It makes me wonder if they're going to release an RTX 3040 now, because the 3060 Ti and also the 3080 are definitely the cards that I'd be eyeing off personally. This one being $100 cheaper than the 3070 really is punching hard in terms of value for money. But the best thing about this card is you're still getting that full suite of RTX broadcast. You're still getting the new encoder, which works really well if you want to stream, and you're still getting that HDMI 2.0 out the back of this card, supporting 4K 120Hz if you're a competitive gamer on OLED, for example, or playing Dota 2 like I sometimes do on 4K OLED. This thing will do the trick. And with all that aside, I hope you guys enjoyed today's review of the RTX 3060 Ti. If you did, then be sure to hit that like button for us. And in terms of the card itself, it gets a big yes from the tech yes. And we got the question of the day here, which actually relates to those ambient temperatures, and it comes from Mr. Dwickster, and they say 29C ambient. So do you like that hot weather, or do you like saving money on aircon? And I'm gonna tell you guys, I don't know what it is about me, but I've grown up on where I'm at, the Gold Coast. I've grown up here my whole life, and I've just been used to these ambient temperatures. It gets a little bit hot. I've got aircon in here, but when it goes over 30 and I get sweaty, I guess when I just start getting sweaty, that's when I turn the aircon on. Sometimes in the past, I haven't even had aircon, and I've just been sweaty in videos, and that's been pretty painful. But usually for me, even if it's hot in the moment, it's like 27 ambient while I'm recording this, I'm very comfortable with these ambient temperatures. And it's kind of funny because some people aren't, but then for instance, I went over to Thailand, and that's been really hot in my opinion over there. And then I've seen people wearing jackets, and I'm like, how do they do that? So I guess it's one of those things, I guess they call it climatized. So I guess I'm climatized here to the beautiful Gold Coast weather. And the benefit of that is you guys get to see the hardware being stressed more than it otherwise would, at least compared to the 21C and 22C ambient testers out there. Hope that answers that question, and I'll catch you guys in another tech video very soon. Oh, and also, yes, I can keep the aircon off and I can save a bit of money in the process too. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out for now. Bye.